This is Mr. Ward, and this is my final video on the 2021 Math MCAS for 8th grade. This is on number 18, parts A and B, which is all about, can you tell the difference between a function and not a function? Can you identify the key characteristics that make something a function? Now, a function is a kind of relation between x and y where x values are only used once. On a graph, which is what part A is about, if you can draw a vertical line through the graph and it never crosses your curve or your line more than once, then you have a function because no x values have been used more than once. But if you can go through it more than once, through your curve or your line, through it more than once, if you do a vertical line, then you have multiple uses of the same x value, and it is no longer a function. X is no longer predictive of y outputs. It is a relation, which is a perfectly legitimate mathematical structure, but it is not a function, which is a key consideration for Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and pre-calculus, as well as calculus. So that is a whole world of things that we use to model. So we're going to look at these graphs, and we ask which of these statements is true. So only 1 and 2 represent y as a function of x. So 1 definitely represents a function. Okay, so that's a function. But y does not. So that's not function because it is literally a vertical line, and so it fails the vertical line test by being a vertical line. Graph 1 and 4. Okay, 1 is a function. 4 would pass the vertical line test, as does 1. So that one actually is the correct answer. So that one is it. Graph 2 is not a function. We know graph 2 is not a function. And graph 3 is also not a function because it fails the vertical line test at many, many points on it. You could draw a vertical line through it and it will cross more than once. So graph 3 is not a function. Okay, we're going to go on to the next part. Now, part B says the relationship between the x and y values in this table is not a function. One of the values of x is missing from the table as shown. Well, here's the thing. These two x values, we don't use any x values more than once. So without that last x value, it's currently a function. But if we reuse one of those x values, it stops being a function, and that's what our goal is. So we want one value of x that we could replace the missing value with so that y is not a function of x. So we can take the 7 and put it there, or we could put the 12. Either one of those would do the job because we'd be reusing the same x value. And so if 7 was here and 7 was here, 7 would predict an output of -6 and also an output of 8, so it's ambiguous. We don't know which it's going to be. If we put 12 here, then 12 predicts an output of -1 and also an output of 8. So we're not pinning anything down with any particular input, and that's a key element of a function. So the way you deal with this is you just repeat one of the x values that's already been used, and that makes it automatically not a function. And that's it. I hope this has been a helpful series of videos.